It's
I
a
see.
internal.
Skinny.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2:30 Public Works Committee meeting. I'm Councilor Dr. Wright and I call this meeting to order. Item number 2 is Simone Gittens, appointment to the Greater Tulsa Area African American Affairs Commission, filling a vacant seat. The term will expire May 1st, 2029. Ms. Gittens, come on down. Did I say your last name?
Yeah,
Gittens, like kittens. Okay, that's what I thought.
Way to remember.
Well, welcome to our table, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to serve in this capacity?
Yeah, well, my name is Simone, of course. I like to say I'm a new Tulsan still, kind of, sort of. I came here through Tulsa Remote about 3.5 years ago, and I just really fell in love with the city. It reminds me of Tucson, Arizona, where I went to school at. So it's same, but it's like big city, but small town. I like to say Tulsa is like 5 people removed. So every time I meet 5 people, I'm like, oh, I know so-and-so, and yada, yada, yada. So it's really exciting in regards to that. I love all of the things that are happening in Tulsa. I get to know about a lot of things and go to a lot of events, and just get involved in a lot of opportunities. I guess my real job that like allows me to exist. I work for an ed tech company that services NYU's master's degree in mental health and wellness counseling. So get to talk to students all day about why they want to get into mental health counseling, if that's actually a thing, if they need to maybe go a new route, all that jazz. And I mean, outside of my real job, I'd like to say I'm really involved. Right now I'm in Typros, so I get to do their welcome committee, so I'm co-chair of that. I'm on the Tulsa Voter Coalition that represents Typros, so we do a lot of voter initiatives and such. I mean, is there anything else that you want to know specifically?
Well, I don't know, let me see, let's
Like
open
I
it
said, a
up.
lot.
Do we have
What do
any
you do on your
questions?
downtime? I mean, what if you have any with all of this
I
that you
mean,
do?
I don't have like kids or anything like that, so I feel like everything that I do is already exciting to me, so that is what I do. I'm doing my master's degree right now in higher education administration, and I guess something not serious, I like to go to brunch. You guys have a lot of good brunch spots.
Yes.
So, you know, still trying to find good Mexican food, so if anybody has.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
I can hook you up.
granted, Arizona Mexican food is very
Yes.
different than
Sure, yeah.
what
Yes.
is over here. I will say
Yes.
that. Two
That's
separate.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah,
No, that's
two
Arizona.
separate things.
We have a lot of very authentic
Tex-Mex.
Mexican
Well,
restaurants.
if you want to forward them my way,
Not a problem.
you know,
We'll
that's
list.
not Tex-Mex.
You need to visit District 6 and 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm from New Mexico, so.
Okay, so we're on the
We
same
got the
page.
vibe.
Okay. Yeah, brunch and honestly, just meeting lots of new people. I'm a very like friendly person, so everywhere I go, I feel like I meet either somebody new or I see a lot of people that I know already. So.
Great. Well, it's good to meet you for the first time. I love your energy. We are taking up a vote to confirm your commission nomination on May 6th at 5 o'clock downstairs. You are welcome to come. You're not required to. If you do come and want to speak after the vote, you'll be invited up. Thanks for your willingness to serve. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3 is Fatima Linares, reappointment to the Greater Tulsa Area Hispanic Latinx Affairs Commission. Term expires December 31st, 2028. Attended 9 of 11 meetings, and you live in District 4. Hi. Welcome
Hi.
back.
Hi, nice seeing new faces too.
Yes, so since there are, some new folks since you've come before us before, just give us a little introduction and tell us, why you want to continue on serving, what you're working on with the commission, and anything
Yes,
you want to share.
thank you for that. Grateful to be back. I think this is since 2014, I believe. So I've been in the commission for a while now. I am chair of the education committee, so I take part of the planning for the Tomas Rivera Awards, which by the way, you guys are invited, and this coming up May 14th at the City Library here in downtown, where we recognize 30 scholars and 10 heroes in the community. And this year we have about a good number between Tulsa Public Schools, Tulsa Honors Academy, and Glenpool. So please come, say hi, and take pictures with the kids. So that's part of the reason why I like to continue serving. I've been in the commission for a while and chairing this committee for quite a few years as well. So just wanting to improve the work that we're doing and continue to recognize our students that are the future of the city. I'm a mother of a baby boy. been living in Tulsa since 2004, long time.
Good.
Work for Tulsa Public Schools with our immigrant population, and that will tell you the heart that I have for our immigrant population here in Tulsa.
Well, great. Do we have any questions or comments? Well, you've done this before, so again, we'll be taking up your confirmation vote on Wednesday, May 6th, 5 o'clock. You are welcome to join, but you don't have to. And then thank you for reiterating that invitation for the 14th.
Of course.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item number 4, an ordinance amending Title 15, Tulsa Revised Ordinances titled Franchises and Grants, Chapter 3, titled 2011 Oklahoma Natural Gas Company Franchise, granting a franchise for a term of 20 years, providing for use and repair of rights-of-way, establishing engineering standards, defining grantees' duty to move or alter facilities, establishing a franchise rate of 4% of gross receipts, requiring voter approval of this franchise at a special election on August 25th, 2026, providing for severability, providing that the franchise shall become effective upon grantees' filing of an acceptance, and repealing the previous franchise. There is a public hearing on May 6th, and today we have Ms. Davis to give us an update.
Yes.
And I see lots of interested stakeholders in the room as well.
Sarah Davis, I'm council staff. Yes, there are, half of the room is here to help with this item if there are additional questions.
Great.
I know, and so I'll go through this and kind of remind us of where we are in the process. So you remember last week, we did a high-level overview of the process so far and where we were in the franchise. And we hit a lot of the points of the franchise in that ordinance, and so in that presentation. So there are 3 legislative actions that ultimately in this process you all will take. This is the first one. So this is actually the franchise ordinance language, and in your backup material, there is a red line copy of that ordinance. The only thing we're doing with this ordinance today is just having the committee discussion. You'll remember we extended this out a little bit so we could make sure to table it some community conversations during the process. The next item, I'll just mention these 2, but we won't talk through these today, is the resolution calling the election. So that's just a similar resolution to how you call every election. And then the Public Ways Fund Ordinance, which is the ordinance that ultimately governs that Public Ways Fund. To amend that one, we will have to go through a Brown ordinance process just because it was established with that. So looking at the backup on the red line copy, there's about 6 or 7 high-level items in the franchise ordinance. So again, it's for a 20-year term at a 4% rate. The additional funds, the franchise ordinance has those going into that special fund, the Public Ways Fund, for right-of-way maintenance and corridor enhancements. And then 2 points that we didn't spend a lot of time on last time, and a lot of people in the room can help answer these questions if you have more detail, is in section 307. You will see that this section really governs, sometimes ONG needs to do work in the right-of-way. And so some additions you'll see in the definition section are of those ADA standards. So we want to make sure that all work complies with ADA requirements, including temporary sidewalk requirements. So an example of that is you can't just put down clean rock. You actually need to put something that complies with ADA standards. And then it does provide, we know we've got good partners, right? But in the unlikely event that something does need fixed after a certain notice period happens, the city could step in and go ahead and correct something that needs to be corrected. So that's what section 307 covers. 308 is your other section that you're gonna see a lot of items in, a lot of amendments in. And this is a section that really governs that sometimes the city of Tulsa needs to do work in the right-of-way, and that impacts the location of ONG's facilities. And so the 2 engineer groups on the side of the city and on ONG met a lot to better coordinate that time. And so that both of us, the city and ONG, would be more timely in getting those facilities moved for projects. So those cover things like our notice to ONG, the timeline for design activities, It also allows like a multi-phase approach, so if a construction project has 4 phases, maybe they can start working on phase 1 while 2 and 3 and 4 are in later stages. And so if you have, at the end of this, if you have any questions, Paul or Morgan from ONG, they're happy to come up and talk through those. The franchise also has a provision if the charter changes, because remember we're capped at 4% in charter, that we could reopen discussions about that, but that would take a lot of discussion here, and it would take 2 public votes. But just, you don't know what happens in the future, so just leaving that open as well. And then finally, this is a bold decision by Jack, took out the requirement to provide pager numbers and fax numbers
But what if some of us want those in?
That is
It's,
so aggressive.
it was an aggressive policy decision.
Decision-making.
So,
Torpedoed for sure now.
I know,
What if we
so,
wanna add in, like,
if- I know,
telegrams?
if you wanna discuss that
Yeah.
length, I think that would
Maybe
be
add
all
our
right.
Twitter handles or something like that.
Right, right. So,
He
that,
means X.
that is a high-level overview of the changes. We can take any questions, and then I have just our next steps to go over after your
Okay,
questions.
I'm gonna use chair privilege to go first, and then if you guys have questions, jump in. On section 301, how did we arrive at 20 from 15 on the agreement?
Yeah, so you wanna have so the whole point of a franchise agreement is to have consistency in this. And so most communities are probably at 25. So this does give us that flexibility to revisit it earlier if we need to. And obviously there's flexibility too in the franchise agreement. Like if the natural gas industry just dramatically changes, there's flexibility to go back and look at that. And so we felt like 20 years gave us enough flexibility, but also provided that consistency for the community.
Any questions from, I know the chair and vice chair and immediate past chair were all in the room, so they can
We're
maybe
not
answer some
just in the room,
questions.
We contributed,
Well, yes, but I mean, you were in these discussions
yes.
in a way that the rest of us weren't, so, especially for the newer counselors who haven't done franchise agreements, do you have any questions or things that you
Yeah.
need to go over, or?
I mean, another increase? I have to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I think I've actually, if we could hear, I'm trying to think about, or try to understand this in terms of, I know ONG just put up a request for a rate increase in front of the Corporation Commission
Last week.
and I'm just trying to think through, like,
That was PSO maybe?
PSO.
I thought ONG had one.
So.
Oh, why don't you come to the table also?
Come to the table.
We could be on my,
That's all right. So
just could you introduce yourself
yes.
for our
Well,
audience
let's
and
catch
our
it.
secretary?
Dustin Frederick, on behalf of Oklahoma Natural. So I do handle the rates for us as well at the commission. And so the rate mechanism that we're under with the state is an annual rate review. And so
Okay.
we're, as the gas utility, we have an annual mechanism. So every year we go out there and they review the rates and they're adjusted within like a band. And so that filing is made every year around the end of March, first part of April, so that's when that was filed. And then just this week, we are required, since it's a potential rate increase, the state requires us to give individual notice to every customer we have, which is 920,000 plus. And so those notices began going out this week, so that may be where you saw that. If you're a customer of ours, you may have got your notice. We do those over the billing cycles that go over a month, and so those started here this week.
Okay, so just to clarify so it's not outside of like a typical annual band of increase is what you're,
Yeah,
Like a
so
percentage
what
is
you'll
like-
typically see with like major electric utilities and gas utilities is the typical structure is you go in for what's called a general rate review, and typically you do that every 3 to 5 years where everything's looked at. We have a mechanism in place where basically certain things are set, and then we go in and have it adjusted once a year. And so the commission reviews, the AG's involved in those cases, as well as commission staff and any other interveners. And they review everything, and then there will be an adjustment potentially to the rates on an annual basis. What you'll find is it ends up mitigating the increases, where if you went 3 to 5 years and say you were capital heavy on spending and then just start recovering that, you would get a much larger increase after 3 to 5 years, which you may see with, say, your PSO utility that comes in. Whereas ours, if we're in a mode of where there's capital being spent, it'll be more gradual because you're getting a smaller increase every year potentially. But it does give the other good part for the state is it gives them an opportunity every year to look at the rate and what you're recovering.
Okay, thanks, that's helpful.
Any other questions or comments? Counselor Doyle? Yeah?
Sorry.
No, you're
So,
fine.
is what is happening in Iraq contributing to any of this?
You mean
Iran, sorry. yeah.
Iran, are you talking about the franchise fee?
Just the
or
ability
the
to
rate?
get products.
Oh, so how the gas
Oil
bill,
and
so,
gas.
so how the gas bill will work is we have a rate of, it's basically the two main components of your bill for the gas utility is going to be, one, the commodity cost. And so that you'll see a fuel adder on there, a fuel cost on there, a PGA cost. The utility's not allowed to make any money off of that. There's no profit on that, so it's just, it's a pass-through cost of what we pay for that commodity, the gas cost. And then the other portion is just our service of what it takes to maintain our pipes. And so that's what's built in your service fee. And so to the extent anything from an economy basis increases our cost of construction, that ends up at some point getting flowed into your service amount. And to the extent we have that anything that from Iran or anywhere else in the world impacts commodity cost, which sometimes it does, just like a hurricane or something would as well, that could eventually make it into the piece where you're paying the fuel component.
That's it?
Thank you for boosting the signal on the ADA. I think we learned some lessons through the last time, and just, I think a lot of times in District 4, we see impacts, so
Yeah.
it was
I'd
good
say
to
that was a
quantify it.
major focus of our conversation, is just making sure we comply with those standards, which everybody wants to, but we put it in
Yes, just
there.
explicitly. So, and thank you for your forward thinking, Mr. Attorney, on technology. Or bringing us
That was
into the
sweet.
21st century.
I still get faxes though, so I still have.
I don't know, this younger generation feels very retro, we might see pagers again.
Yeah.
I have some
Maybe
little
so.
towns that still send me faxes.
Just quick on next steps, so ONG will be at the community conversations.
On all of them.
Yes, I
Okay.
think maybe there was one we were.
There's one I need to make sure I can
There's one
cover.
we're trying to
I'll be
find
out
out.
of
Okay,
the coverage
but it's like a
for the remaining.
tabling situation, so
Yes.
constituents can visit
Yes.
one-on-one or.
On May 6th, we won't have any votes on any of these items, but we'll go ahead and start bringing the resolution for the election. And then this ordinance will be on first reading, and there will also be a public hearing opportunity at the 5 o'clock
On the 6th.
on the 6th. And then when the Public Ways Fund, we get that ordinance finalized and moving forward, you'll see that press conference notice, so I didn't want you to be caught off guard by Public Ways press conference
Okay.
notice, so.
Is there anything else? Well, on behalf of the full council, want to thank Sarah Davis for taking the lead on this for us to help us understand it. And I know you have lots of things you have to do, but once every 20 years we'll do this.
This is my favorite thing,
Yes.
though.
So, and thank you to the counselors who were in the room doing the work too, and to you all for working with us. So
Thanks for
we-
showing up.
So,
Sarah and Jack were the
um,
ones that were leading the conversation and the efforts and all of this, of putting all of the ordinance together and
Yeah.
everything, so.
And
It's a-
Public Works and our ONG partners.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's- As you were rightly saying, it's a heavy lift, and so thanks to Sarah and Jack and our staff for doing that. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a once in a 20-year.
It
event.
is, and there's really specific timelines that we have met, so.
All parties.
Thanks for prioritizing it with all that we have going on. For the public, if you want to be heard before us at a 5 o'clock, public hearing will be on the 6th. You get a full 5 minutes for that. And then, of course, when we take up the vote, public comment again. So I don't see any media partners in the room, so we'll have to respond as people start to become more aware of it. And community conversations throughout the month of May, directly with the folks making the proposals, so, or co-proposing it with us. So lots of opportunity to engage between now and then. Thank you all for coming on that.
Thank you, guys.
We'll move to item number 5, which is a discussion and update with representatives from Public Works and Water and Sewer Departments regarding refuse, stormwater, water, and sewer collection fees and charges anticipated for 2026, 2027. A little switch out here.
If you want to do the tear first.
So just
Oh.
on this item,
We're
there's
gonna
gonna
talk
be
trash. for a
3
little
different
trash
kind of
first.
presentations.
Oh, okay, I have one item that I read, so my work
Yeah.
is done.
Yes, your work is done, and then we'll move the presentations through.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys wore ties today because of your presentation? Is that inferring we don't wear ties?
Also, please, says the guy who hasn't shaved, I just wanna say. I do wanna say that Counselor Dutton is rocking orange today for public safety awareness. Oh, shoes and vest.
Oh, orange.
And orange.
Oh, I thought you guys were kidding in the group chat.
Remember that
Not that I own orange.
Mr. Zachary gave us a whole spiel last time, so
Yes, this is.
let me get out of the way.
Sorry, if I was watching, that was a sound.
I think this is the
Yeah, really. To the slammer.
Here it comes.
I can see the open record. The open
All
record.
the finest fashion decisions.
Okay.
Okay. Mr.
Public Works did that.
Okay, let's focus on our friends down here that are gonna put a presentation here. Who's speaking first?
Okay, Terry Ball.
Mr. Ball.
So I'm going to present you the TARE presentation first, and we're just going to give you all kinds of information today. So first thing that you'll have here in front of you, make sure you've got this one. It's a non-PowerPoint presentation, so that's what we're going to go through first. As far as TARE in the FY27 budget, first, I just wanted to give you, TARE basically has 4 main contracts that provide all the services, the larger services, except for bulky waste, which we do in-house. But refuse and recycling hauling, it commenced, the current contract, Eric was actually in charge of this back in the day. It's about to expire finally, so it expires September 30th of this year, at FY27. We put that out to bid. Current hauler is New Solutions, and the new contract is also going to be New Solutions. The new contract will take effect on October 1st, and it has an expiration date of September 30th, 2036, with an optional renewal for 5 years. So basically, that one is, they're going to have all new trucks. They've ordered all new trucks. They're taking delivery of them this summer, and some of them will actually be out there operational before the new contract starts, but they will have all new trucks that you'll be seeing out in the field by this fall when this new contract comes in place. Recycling services, that did commence on May 29, 2012, excuse me, and expires on September 30th, 2035. That's with TRT. Our landfill, 2023, expires in 2033 with the American AEL, American Environmental Landfill, and then Waste to Energy. We had that contract started 2023 and expires in 2037 with 1 5-year extension possibility with ReWorld. So those are all our contracts. Basically, we're good until if everybody exercises their options, we're good till almost mid-2030s with our big contracts. So that provides some stability as far as we've locked those prices in long-term, and now they're just basically they're all dictated annually by whatever the inflation rate is. They get that increase in their contract based on whatever the consumer price index. And there's different ones that we use for each contract, depending on which one's linked to their type of service. But it's all done by the federal government. TARE contracts, just so you have an idea of what those prices are, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see FY26. Our pricing, because the way our contracts are set up, it goes through the end of the calendar year instead of fiscal year, so you'll see a price switch starting January 1 each year. So you'll see right now, we're in the $29.58 per ton with ReWorld for taking care of our waste, and that will carry through to the end of this calendar year, and then in January 1, we anticipate $31.05 with that. So each of those, it shows what the price per ton of what they do to handle that. Annually, we send about 117, almost 118,000 tons of municipal waste. We have a annual estimated tonnage of recycling of about 18,500 tons per year. So we do a good job of recycling.
Sorry, Eric got tap water, everybody else got bottled water.
Because he knows how many microplastics are in there. Yeah. Wow, feeling really superior without your PFAS. All right.
Sorry.
No, that's
Sorry.
good. No, I'm good.
Love it.
As far as what I was talking about earlier, the consumer price index, each of those are a little different. They're not just consumer price index. Some of them are linked to fuel. Some of them are linked to trash haulers. There's all kinds of price indexes that the federal government puts out, and it just says, this is what you owe, that you should adjust your contract annual. That's how our contracts are all set up on that. That way allows us to do a multi-year, and with it being through TARE, we can contract through multi-year agreements. As far as just this next thing, it talks about the green waste. The reason we put that in there, talking about FY '24, it's like, why is that in there? FY '24, we did a study of the green waste, and we came out and decided, TARE did, that we needed to split and get out of the wholesale green waste business. We had put out a RFP and basically came out with a contractor. They're out of CS Carey, they're out of Kansas City. We went and toured, TARE members went and toured it also. And they, starting last fall, they opened up the new commercial green waste site. So basically, if you go out there now, you'll see a commercial gate and you'll see a residential gate. So residential, anybody that has a utility bill gets to come into our gate. They get to drop off for free. They get to pick up firewood. They get to pick up mulch. All that's there available to them. If you're a commercial person who charges for services to people to clear their yards or whatever, they go to the commercial and they pay whatever the gate fee is of what's posted there, and they do that. There's two other commercial operations, one in Jinx, one in Owasso, so they've got three places they can go to if they so choose to dispose of commercial green waste now. But basically, the city of Tulsa got out of the commercial green waste business. There's some talk about, as far as green waste disposal, talks about, if currently it's $5.28 a cubic yard, which is, they've kept what we were charging when we were doing it. So that's still the gate fee if you come and bring it to the commercial side. Our facility out at the green waste site, the address is listed there, but it's open 6 days a week, 7:30 to 4:30. We are closed on Wednesdays. That's our day that we service equipment. Just get the place cleaned up a little bit, and it's only open, well, it doesn't really apply as much now, residents on Sundays. But as far as, I know everybody always has concern, how many green waste bags can you put at your curb? It's 15, as long as they're in the clear bags. And then there's the information about the household pollutant disposal facility. I will tell you, that's one of the best things we've got going out there, and the numbers that we're seeing just continue to climb. We set a new record of how many customers we had this last year, and we're already this year averaging, even on Wednesdays, in the high 60s, almost 70 customers per day, which is about 15 to 20 higher than what it's been. It's just the word keeps getting out, and especially if you start going and shopping at your local stores and see what the price of certain things are, oil, chemicals, all those things that were brought to us, if they're unopened, we go and we have a swap shop that allow people to use them for what their ultimate use was meant to be. And that's what we're seeing, a lot of people that go in and do that, because it is, if you can save $20 on, if you go buy a quart of oil, it's almost $10 nowadays. If it's full synthetic, it's even more than that. So we have people that come in there, and we've got one of what we call our frequent shoppers, that they're always finding stuff to bring so they can shop in the facility. So it's been a very good success story. Both it and the green waste are probably two of the most unheralded, we don't advertise a lot, but they're very well, heavily used. So on page 2, I really just wanted to bring, we are making some changes on services, so I just want to make sure everybody's very clear on this. Our prices went up quite a bit on the hauling side of it, but we were able, through making some cuts and some efficiencies, we were able to keep the rate increase down to 4% on trash. But you'll notice on some of these things, when you see what the rate up until 9/30 of 26 is and what it goes up by, you'll notice that doesn't translate to what we're increasing the price by. We were able to keep some other things below our costs, bring them down some, so that it ended up being a 4% increase, which doesn't reflect how much our increase was on the new hauling. As far as backyard, in the old contract, existing one, you have a backyard and backyard extended. Now there'll just be a backyard, so you can see the price went from $5.36 for backyard, extended was $9.43. Now the new contract is just $20 for that distance, so you can see how much that went up. So the backyard, these, what we call the services that you choose, à la carte services, you'll pay. So the $8 will be $28 with the new one, starting in October 1st. And that's basically covers our overhead plus the $20 that we are actually charged by New Solutions to do that backyard service. One thing I do want to really encourage all of y'all, if you have citizens who cannot, due to medical issues, move their can, there is a process. If you go online to City of Tulsa and go, there's a form that they can have their doctor fill out, and once it's filled out, they will get the normal trash rate and not have to pay for backyard service. So please, we always talk about that when we go to public meetings, but if you have anybody or if anybody reaches out to your office about that, if they are medically not able to move their trash can, there is a process. We will do it, and there's no extra cost as long as the doctor fills out the form and attests that they cannot do that. So,
You just answered my Jenny Q question.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, twice a week will no longer exist with the new contract. We were down to about 3,000 customers, actually below 3,000 or right around 3,000. It has been dwindling over the years, and the amount of road traffic that trash truck puts on there for those few customers that were requesting twice a week, that is now gone effective October 1st, and we celebrate that, especially a person who has to fix the roads. Additional carts, there is a charge for additional 96. And believe it or not, I think with the amount of recycling that people do, especially with all their cardboard and everything that comes in nowadays, there has been some desire for 2 recycling carts. So there is availability now to have a second recycling cart. There is a cost with that, but it's still relatively mild as far as the price on that. Oh, sorry, let's go to the next page. So other than that, if you look at that example down on physical limited service, you'll see that price is the same as the normal customer, and that's what I was mentioning earlier as far as what that price is. And then all these prices down here are just the prices that we actually are charged, and we add our overhead fee on to that as far as the city's part of it. We do not make profit, it's just covering our expenses. One thing I do want to really point out, because this is the biggest change as far as people may be used to, is in the past, a extra refuse sticker was 50 cents each, so you could put one of those on a bag and get it collected. The new bid came in, it went from 7 cents is what New Solutions used to charge us, now the new rate is $1.50. So, so that new charge would be $2. So right now, if you had went and bought those stickers, starting October 1st, you'd have to put 4 of the old stickers on a bag for us to pick it up, for New Solutions to pick it up. There'll be a new sticker coming out. We're working with Communications to design the new $2 sticker. They are not like a stamp, they're not a forever sticker, so you don't get to use one. It is 4 stickers, and that's just the cost of service that was bid, and that was the new cost of service. So some people, if they use a lot of those, it may make more sense to get a second trash cart. If you are a heavy user, you're probably gonna be, it doesn't take very long to basically recover if you're a heavy user of stickers. So, but that is, as far as just wanted to make sure y'all were aware of some of the nuances of the new rates. And again, those were publicly bid, those were the prices that we received. We had, I think it's either 4 or 5 haulers all bid it, and this was the one that was selected. Go to the next.
That's the grass?
Do we want to take
No, that's not
questions?
grass, that's just extra trash. You get 15 bags of grass still. It's that people that sometimes have more trash that will fit in their trash can, they could do the sticker and put that out next to it, but
It still has to be
it still has to be in clear bag.
If we get extra stickers when they miss our
Don't
bags,
do that, dogs, we done told
we
it.
can leave stickers on our curbside.
Moving on,
Remember that,
just,
Bill.
Because you
this
have
is
dogs that
more
run
just,
in your neighborhoods.
this is more just the rate model to show you. If you go to line 22, this is where it'll sort of show you, basically, it's a $2.5 million impact with the new, it's really probably closer to $3 million if you do it for a full 12 months is what the increase in hauling was with all the bids. So if you go look at 16.7 million, and this is only a 9-month expense on that 19.2, so it looks like it went up 2.5 million, but you have to remember that's 9 months worth of. So really, it's probably closer to almost a $3 million impact with the new bids for for the year-round hauling. One thing I will point out too, green waste hauling line 8, our revenue went down there because we did get rid of that, but also our expenses on that went down by $800,000 by not running the commercial. So we actually came out ahead on that. And then bulky waste pickup, it's been $10 for, I think, since it started. And so basically we've, because of expenses going up, and that is a selected service, it is going up to $20 starting October 1st also. It's still a great bargain. It still gets you 8 cubic yards of picked up there at that curbside. Other than that, you can go through, there's some places where we cut some expenses. The capital replacement on carts, we've dropped it from $1.5 million to $1 million, just based on what we're actually seeing. And again, regional waste went down by $800,000. And emergency response, now the city, in the past, TARE has been relied on to help with the city expenses on immediate storm response. Like when we had the Father's Day storm, TARE actually leased the site up at the airport, and then the city will eventually reimburse TARE. It was like $50,000 is what we paid. But now this is being reduced down to $100,000 since the city has the rainy day fund for storm response now. So it went from $500,000 down to $100,000. And about $50,000 was the most we've ever used. And this has been in place, that amount, I think for about 5 or 6 years now. We had $500,000 in that account, and we've very rarely used. So that is everything
So I have
TARE related.
4 counselors in the queue on this presentation. Can we take their questions now, and then we'll move to the next one? Yes, okay, so let's take about 5 minutes or so, because that was good 10 minutes, Terry. I have District 1, 3, 5, and 8. Counselor Hallhorn.
Okay. The backyard services
Mhm.
that you mentioned, are there any flyers? They laugh at me when I say a meme. The graphic that we could receive to share on our constant contacts, on our Facebook, social media,
we'll
to
get-
let our constituents know that that's available?
Yes, we will get with, you talking about for the medical side of it?
Yes.
Or- Yes,
Yeah,
no,
everything that.
we will get with,
How do
we can
you
get with
access that?
communications, work on that. We've done that push through Facebook and some other things in the past. We are gonna be doing a bill stuffer, I believe it's in
I'm more
the,
popular though, so if I send it.
no, yes, we will get you, all of y'all something. But, and I meant to say, I believe it's either July or August, I think it's August is what's gonna end up being, there will be an item in the bill stuffer explaining the new trash services and the new rates. We'll also be doing a separate letter to the 3,000 customers that are twice a week to let them know, that way if they need to decide, are they really heavy users? What we have found out, a lot of people that are twice a week, people that travel, and that way if they're not here that week, or if they forget, they just like having the flexibility of picking which day, so it's really not a need, it was more of a, so we're just gonna send them a letter, and if they really are a heavy user, and that's the reason they need it twice a week, then that'll allow them to know that they can get a second can if they need to. So, but yes, we will work on that and get that to y'all.
And the backyard service for 2 cans, right? Those folks that travel, they could do the backyard service, or
What is it?
The medical?
could they do, is that just for medical now?
Yeah, I was asking about the medical
Okay.
piece.
Yeah, you're talking about,
All right. Well, for the people that are traveling, if they have the backyard service, then they don't have to put it out on
as
the
long as they
curb.
don't lock their gate. Oh, no, if they travel, they still have to pay the backyard service.
That's what I'm saying. They can do the backyard
Yes.
service, be gone.
Yes.
And not have to put it at the
Right.
curb,
Yep.
which kind of mitigates the other thing you just mentioned.
You just have to remember to cancel it when they get back in town.
District 3, Jackie Brown, you are next.
So I did the calculations on the service description rates, and the rates are, it's still pretty low. It's like $2.57 increase on the 32 gallon, and that would be for the once a week service, or twice a week?
All these are once a week.
Once a week, okay.
Yeah, everything quoted here is all once a week.
Twice weeks one way.
Okay, well, that's what I thought, which it
Yeah.
should. So is there any thoughts on offering incentives for something smaller than the 32?
No. No, trying to keep inventory of these cans right now alone is problematic. The 32 gallon has primarily been used in like condo units. But no, we're not trying to go anything smaller than that. I mean, even trying to keep these 3 size, the 64 and 32, like recycling will only have 96 gallon recycling cans. We will not have anything smaller than that. But it's,
Well, for the trash bins, they won't be smaller. I just think that with more recycling, I can just speak for myself, that I don't have to have my trash picked up but once a month.
my wife and I, now that we're empty nesters, a lot of times I have 1 to 2 bags in my 96-gallon cart, but that's just,
Yeah.
is what it is. But I can fill a 96-gallon up with recycling every week, and which I do.
But come the holidays. you fill
Well, I'm
it
just
up.
wondering
Yeah,
if maybe
that's,
down the line,
Thanksgiving
an
and Christmas are
incentive
my 2 times I fill up my 96-gallon.
Yeah.
could be had for people like
Well,
myself.
Counselor Archie, you're on the TARA board, right?
Yes.
So maybe if there's a policy, like model policy, you can,
Okay,
he's our representative basically on
okay.
TARA. Also,
Also
we
cost
over
to
the
buy
years
those
have talked
smaller
about brown
carts.
Just
waste
keep
as
it
well,
Yeah,
like other cities do.
yeah.
Is
I
that-
know American Waste has like the permit ability to do composting, it just hasn't been activated.
Right, but other cities have that,
What is it?
brown
Um,
carts.
For
We don't, yeah,
composting.
we've looked, the cost to do, we're trying to keep all the cost, I mean,
Of
everything has a
course.
cost, and so there's just, when we looked at that in the past, and Tara has looked at it, it doesn't make financial sense
Yeah.
compared to what that system would cost to do. So what we do have the availability is if you want it turned into compost, we really encourage backyard composting. That way you compost it at your yard and then put it straight into your own garden. If not, you can deliver to the Greenway site and somebody else will eventually utilize that. But as far as having another stand-up program, that would just add more rate increases, and at the time, we're trying to minimize them and not, I mean, we've already, through this system, TARE alone has went from 1 CEO crew, we're currently paying for 5 CEO crews to keep the right-of-way clean. So hopefully you've noticed, the right-of-way looks better than it has in the past, but that's because TARE has historically funded 3 CEO crews, and then through some of the CARES Act funding, there was 2 crews the city picked up, and then starting last year, TARE picked up the cost of those 2. So right now, we fund 5 right-of-way crews right now through this too. So we're trying to be selective of what programs, and like I said, composting can be done very easily at home. The Met does lots of education on the value of composting in your yard. And that way, like I said, you know where it came from, you compost it, you put it in your garden, and it ends up being you're a much smaller carbon footprint. Instead of having a vehicle pick it up, haul it, turn it, and then go back and pick it up, if you do it in your own yard, the carbon footprint that you're leaving is very, very small compared to having a full-blown process.
There's also community gardens that'll accept donated
Yes.
compost. Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I know that there's concern also about Humaner. I guess that's been going around.
Oh, that's been a state legislative conversation, I
what?
don't know where that left off.
Well,
That's my category.
oh, is it, okay, yeah,
Let's
and
get
people
through-
using that for
Slowly.
composing,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at, is
Who
people
uses
using it
Oh, my.
for composting.
It's what it
So-
sounded like.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh,
Maybe we need a PSA why that is a terrible idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Communicable
Yeah.
diseases, everyone.
Yes.
No.
yeah, but I
We
was just
encourage
asking.
people to compost vegetable scraps,
Right.
grass clipping, and leaves.
There you
We'll just
go.
clarify that.
Right,
Drowning green.
Pasteurized milk.
Okay.
Animal pet waste should be thrown away.
Yes.
If you have chickens, then you can do that, I do know the city allows chickens, and
Right.
there is a process, but you have to be careful with that too, because we also, from the stormwater side, caution, because we also don't want that, because that's how E. coli
Yeah.
bacteria ends up in the creeks and streams, so it's all about responsible pet management.
That's
Whether
right.
it's a chicken or a dog or a cat, there is a
Toddler.
ownership to that you need to be aware of and make sure you're not impacting your neighbor and the community
Right.
or yourselves, quite honestly.
yeah, I mean,
So.
it makes total sense.
Count.
Also, just one more, I'm sorry, one more follow-up. Are you guys utilizing a better way as well for the street right-of-ways? Or are they part?
It's handled through asset management, but the Better Way funding, I believe, still comes from TARE. I believe it's 50,000, is that still? I'm not sure how much it is, but in the past, TARE has been the funding source for Better Way. That's handled through Mark Hogan's group, so I can't answer that other than in the past, TARE has contributed to costs related to right-of-way cleanup, because that is, solid waste cleanup is the responsibility and goal of TARE.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Gilbert.
So the new trucks.
Yes.
Trash trucks. I know when we were putting this together back in 2011, the new system, we talked about the trucks with the arm
Mhm.
to pick up and dump instead of, yeah.
Side
So,
trucks
yeah,
versus
so are
rear.
those new trucks going to have the claw to dump the truck, or?
Well,
dump
they'll have
cars?
they'll have side pickup, they'll still have some rear, but with the new system, they're going to have a new camera system that's basically be an AI system that will self-learn over time. So then if they go in and they see that a recycling can has contamination in it, and it'll have an algorithm that determines that, it will reject it, it'll take a picture of it, and it'll keep on driving. Same thing is as they go down each
Very cool.
place, they'll actually be if there's not a trash can there, it will actually take a picture of that. And so when we get the calls, we have some folks that forget to put their trash can, then call and say, well, they missed me. Well, now we'll actually have video we'll have video evidence whether that trash can was there at the time they did it. So there's a lot of new technology in this contract that didn't exist in the old contract. Technology didn't even exist when it was bid. There was RFID in the handles, and that was the technology back then. Now, it's gonna be actually video technology with cameras on the trucks. It will also protect them that if somebody says that the truck damaged their property, they'll have video evidence, yes or no, they hit something. But on the flip side is, we also have video evidence was there a trash can there when they did? If they missed it, then there'll be video evidence that says they did. But we'll also have video evidence if the trash can wasn't there when they went by. And we'll also, the AI system for the recycling is brand new. We're one of the very first cities that's gonna try this. So it's gonna be a self-learning system, and we'll see how it goes. But our intent is hopefully that we'll be able to, we already just this last month ago, we hit our historic low ever contamination rate in our recycling. And so we're hoping with this, and with our aggressiveness of pulling cans from people that are using the recycling can as a second trash can, that we'll continue to lower our contamination rate, which makes the recycling more valuable. And it also, we pay for contamination. If there's contamination, there's a surcharge on top of our recycling processing fee. And the lower we can get that, the more valuable our recycling is to the market, and also the less we pay our recycling company to actually process that. So this new contract will be interesting. Like I said, we can probably count on one hand this system. There's one in South Carolina that this company has been doing, and there's a couple others that are but it's all in its infancy on this AI as far as being able to find contamination. So we're gonna be on the leading edge on this, so it's gonna be fun to sort of watch where this goes.
Also, the green waste pickup, so, like Counselor Lakin's 24 bags of leaves, are we mulching those?
Those go to the trash energy plant.
Okay, so they still have to be in clear bags though, just so that, okay.
Make sure that they're
Right,
not
but
just.
I mean,
put a sticker on
there's, right, but, I mean, back in the day, sorry, I have to go back there, but we are talking about mulching, and so I guess that's,
When we've looked at the cost to try to do that, it's just not a program that I feel like we need to, there's so many other needs with trying to clean the city up, that the mulching, the cost it would add a significant amount increase to the rate structure to try to add mulching, that we've really chosen that we really do want to push that on-site mulching is really where it's at if we're gonna do that. Not trying to bring up a mulching program at this point in time, because with the inflationary costs, the way it hit everything, we're trying to be limited on what has a return on value. Cleaning the right-of-way has a return on value. Taking paint that keeps it out of the storm system and the sanitary sewer. So the programs that TARE has decided to pick up are ones that we're trying to be staging of who it helps. And that's sort of the programs. And right now, trying to add any more costs to the rate structure for another program, we've actually been trying to figure out how to stop where we're at and try to preserve what we've got and to keep rates affordable to everybody.
is there a bulk waste increase?
Yeah, bulky waste went from 10 to 20. It's,
What?
so, it's $10 is what it started out in its infancy, and it's going to 20, so we're still, my understanding, Broken Arrow is, so hopefully everybody will be good with that. Now, we are gonna implement a process that that we'll come out with at a later date, that there may be, if somebody just economically cannot afford it, we'll have a pilot program that we'll unveil later that will allow for limited to people that just absolutely can't afford but need some help. We've got that. We've already sort of got that through the neighborhood program. We've also got a free dump pass that if somebody, that Brent Pitchers Group, they'll go vet them out, and if they qualify, we give them a free dump pass already. That way it helps clean up the neighborhoods.
good, 'cause
So,
that's
and this is
expensive.
just, yes, and this is gonna be another little piece of that will have some bulky waste, but we'll vet that out, and that'll come out at a later date too.
Well, still, $20 is pretty good as opposed to $55 at the dump.
Yes,
So,
if you look there's a line item on this,
75 now.
on that page 3 that shows our revenue for bulky waste, which is going from 225,000 to 450, and then if you go down to bulky waste program, it costs 1.4 million to actually, so that's $1 million subsidized program already.
Right.
So we basically we
Just trying to.
cut the subsidy by
Close it out.
$225,000, but we're still subsidizing, the city of Tulsa is $1 million to make sure that we can get that out to everybody, and especially low income, to try to keep that from turning into illegal dumping. And that's
Yeah.
really why
Yeah.
Terry years ago chose to keep that as a subsidized, is people, if you don't have a way to get rid of it and you don't have means to pay to go to the dump, which is very, very expensive to go to the dump, then unfortunately, people have made the choice to go dump it in a bar ditch. And it's problematic for us, it's problematic if you live by it. So there's always been that desire to keep bulky waste artificially low, so that we hopefully, the people that question, what do I do with it, they'll hopefully at least choose the cheapest option, which is to have us do it, and we come pick it up, and it's 8 cubic yards, which we say it's the size of a Volkswagen, but since they haven't made a Volkswagen in about 10 or 15 years, we're probably gonna find a new car, maybe a Kia Box or something, kind of the more modern. Yeah, I gotta get away from my fax number and find a new 8 cubic yard analogy, I guess, but,
Maybe think of it in terms of mattresses.
well, that too, so.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Lakin.
Okay, so somebody looks at page 2, they go, gosh, we're getting charged $12, but you're charging us double that for residential collection, right? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
So just explain why. And it's like that on just about all of these. I mean, it's even worse on some of these.
Well, all of the system
Three
takes,
times or four
all of the different things that is always, if you look at like current rate right now, it's $9 is what News charges us, it's 24 is what that rate is. That includes all of the problems, it also includes your dead animal pickup, it's a subsidized for bulky waste, it's a right-of-way cleanup, it's all the things as a ratepayer to keep the city
On
looking
this
good.
page. It's all the stuff on this page.
It's all that stuff on that page. It's all the programs that make the city where it's at, trying to keep it as clean as possible. So that's where that is. So we just basically, we took the cost of what that was, and if you look at it, that's why we didn't even, in
You just
theory.
went up by 4%.
We just went up by 4%.
Yeah.
In theory, if, with the new rate went up by, your rate went up, not even 97 cents. By the rates were charged, it should have almost went up nearly $2. But we tried to keep, that's where we went in and looked at where we could cut, anything we could cut in on that page there, and you'll notice some decreases to try to get it where we could get the actual impact to the ratepayer at 4%. And that way, where we didn't do that though, is the services that you choose on your own to do, we didn't subsidize, we just took what we were already charging in overhead under the old contract and just put the new price in it. Didn't increase any overhead costs, just basically carried that over, so.
So, in this projected, it says in-process budget, so this on page 3, it's in that light blue. It shows a fund balance of 14 million, decreasing to $4.5 million by fiscal year 30.
Yep. We are eating through fund balance quickly.
Yeah, but why? What are you putting in the estimates that's not allowing you to keep that fund balance at a higher number?
Because right now, it's just the cost, some of the cost, we're still not, there's enough fund balance that Tara feels like we should try to keep rates as low as we can and just keep working through fund balance. At some point, because each of these contracts are going up, right now, we've estimated 5% inflation is, right now, this last year, it was around 3.2, 3.4. But for modeling, we would have put 5%, because you never know with the world going on right now, what inflation's gonna go,
Would
just
you
look at oil
model
prices.
our trash increases at?
Pardon?
You modeled our trash increases.
Trash increases are down below there. If you look at rate change each year, This year's 4%, the next 3 years are 5% because we put in a 5% inflation for all contracts. If you go up above there, you'll see the rate. If you go up to the very
Okay.
top of that.
So that's the rate change, for Tulsa residents, not the rate change for the contract. The
No,
rate
that's-
change for the
that
contract is
is-
somewhere else.
We're estimating a 5% increase
It's
on these
just rolled into
contracts.
those
It's just
numbers.
rolled into those numbers.
Okay.
But right now, if you look at the very top, you'll see where it says rate modeled, and you see that rate, it says 4.4555. So this year's rate was 4%. The rate that we're proposing for this upcoming year is 4%, and then the next 3 years after that, we're proposing 5%, which is basically keeping you
That's what's down.
level with inflation.
Okay.
If inflation's less than that, we might be able to drop that down. It just depends on, because
Still-
again, having
still
those.
can't- Still can't figure out where the fund balance is going, though. I mean, I hear what you're saying on the rates of the contract are going up, but the rates of the,
But if you look.
the residents are
Council-
going up too.
But we're not bringing the rates to where the expenses were. If you look at it, we've been eating, even this year, we're eating into fund balance by 1.2 million is what we're projecting. So we're not even covering costs currently, so you're still gonna be, we're eating into fund balance every year to the tune of about $2.5 million.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
if you-
trust,
yeah.
I trust that the spreadsheet is right. I'm just trying to hear you say what's all in this and trying to get us to go a little bit deeper on this
Because-
information, because
yeah, if we were-
somebody
if-
can take this page and go, dang, the city of Tulsa is just making a ton of money on us and on our backs. I mean, it looks that way on page 2, until you get to page 3 and you go, dead animal pickup, right-of-way cleanup, you look at the big ticket items in here, and you quickly go, oh, well, there's a lot more being done with the money that is in excess
Yep.
of what we're paying for those services to the contractor.
Customer care, all those things are, IT, everything's wrapped into those costs.
Okay.
So,
And none of it's turning a profit, I mean, to your point, Councilor.
Well, for somebody.
It is on the line item, but.
Right,
But there are other
but the
line items on
city-
there that don't have any income whatsoever.
Right, so
Yeah.
that it's offsetting the cost.
Yeah.
You don't pay for dead animals.
But back to
We
Counselor.
should. Yeah, if you turn it in, you gotta pay for it.
Well, then, nobody. But to Counselor Hall Harper's point, the more we can push out on our own circles, whether it's town halls or community meetings or on our socials. I know when the mayor presented the budget a couple weeks ago, one of the big reactions was like, they're increasing utilities again. But for as long as I've been here, we have made a commitment to do it, to catch up to 10 years of not doing it at all, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
So-
Terra went a whole decade with no rate increases at
Yeah.
all. And it's just now,
So did
now
water.
we had the luxury of the old contracts, and as those old contracts went away and we had historic inflation,
Right.
unfortunately, the new contracts cost a lot more. I mean, trucks are double what they used to cost. I mean, dump trucks for the city of Tulsa are double, you know.
Right, so we had like a historically depressed, I think.
Oh,
rate.
yeah, no, I've explained it
Yeah,
a
and I
thousand
mean-
times. I'm just going through, just trying to help us all
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
what's really happening.
Well,
Because
and for the-
people can take things out of context, and
Yeah.
that's,
For the counselors who haven't been here as long, I mean, we have been courageous to say yes so that we don't have infrastructure failures or, bigger problems, just kicking that can down another 2
Yeah.
to 4 or 6 years.
yep,
So,
federal government will make you
It makes
take
it
care
harder
of
for
something
us
that you
though,
don't
for
take care
sure,
of.
because we have to explain it. And I guess Counselor Hall Harper has good comebacks when people say, well, we don't wanna do it. I don't wanna drive down the streets and see dead animals because, we don't have the dollars to pick them up. Or any of these other baked-in services, so. Are we ready to move on to the next, which is stormwater, okay. Stormwater. Got it? Okay.
Do we do the slide maybe? I'll pay attention to that, but I'm not talking.
Are you doing this one too, Terry?
No.
Oh,
Cheryl's
okay.
gonna do it. I'm just gonna be the person
You'll
that's
drive the
hitting the
slides.
space button.
Okay.
Okay. The first slide is the executive summary. We're continuing with the stormwater UEI. with the focus on asset management, and that UEI is the Utility Enterprise Initiative. 24.9% of the stormwater budget is going to routine capital and CIP. Stormwater fund relies solely on utility charges for services. We'll need additional staffing related to the Black and Beach study. Stormwater rate increase will be 7%. Residential customer will see their monthly stormwater bill increase to $14.65 or 3 cents a day. These additions are a continuation of the Black and Beach study. We're in year 8 of 12-year schedule, so we're adding several new staff and 4 trucks for surface asset operations and water quality enhancements. With our MS4, there's a lot of requirements that are required by the federal government to do, so this is the staff and equipment required to do that. The MS4, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System is what that stands for. This slide is operations and maintenance of asset. The left side shows our responsibilities, and the right side quantifies the maintenance that we do. There's a lot that goes into stormwater maintenance to prevent flooding and protect water quality. This slide is the stormwater fund budget. Our biggest items are personal services. 32.8%. Last year it was 33.7%. Cash funded capital is 22.6%, or 26%, and last year it was 22.6%. Debt service is 8.1%, and last year it was 8.5%. The next slide, rate increase is expected to provide $2.7 million in 2027, and projection for the next year is $4.1 million. The expected annual debt payment will be $5.2 million in 2027, increasing to $7.1 million in FY31. Cash capital is at $11 million, and depreciation is at $9.8 million. 5-year capital is $80.9 million, and cash funded 5-year CIP is $49.7 million. This is a graph of the historical rates, just to show you the increases each year and the percentage increases. Oh, okay, that's fine. Fiscal year 27 and 28 capital, $17 million in FY27 and $16 million in FY28. The next slide is the City of Tulsa watersheds. We have either 30 or 31 of the watersheds, and these are the ones we maintain every year.
And if you'll notice the red outline, that's the city limits there, so it just shows you some of those drainage basins that actually are outside of the city limits, but they all impact.
This slide is our significant stormwater fund projects. The top one is stormwater maintenance building expansion. The next one is Hager Creek Storm Sewer. And the bottom one is 43rd and Sheridan, the FEMA brick grant match.
We still doing that?
Yeah, what is that all?
Well, we're still waiting to hear from the federal government.
was gonna ask
It's
you.
on life support right now.
Did we get the brick grant back?
Not officially yet.
There was a
short window.
I thought there was a short window to go after it.
Well, I think that there's supposed to be a conversation about that with the folks that administer it. We had a call with the Annie Vest Office of Emergency Management last week, and so I think we're still working on those details to see how much we'll receive from that brick grant. So as soon as we have the information, we'll share that.
Yeah, it's ministered to the state, and the
Yeah.
state's still trying to get clarification on, because they're changing some of the rules on them a little bit versus what they were under the old program, and that's the part that the state's still trying to figure out for sure, and then what we'll need to do to make sure it qualifies for it.
And we've broken that project up into phases,
Okay.
so that we could, even if we didn't receive the brick grant, that we could phase that project in through our own capital program. But hopefully, when we know more about the brick grant, then we can use that to apply to those projects.
Because I thought we were awarded it, and then a year ago it was,
We got the design money, and that is still going on.
okay,
This next phase, which was a continuation, that's the part we're still waiting to find out if there's gonna be any brick and mortar money coming from the feds.
okay.
Can
So-
I, while we're on that,
Because this is what we went to DC about too. Did we ever get the, what FEMA owed us for the Father Day storm?
We'll have to ask the lady to the back.
If we ever get the reimbursement on Father's Day storm?
Yeah.
Not the largest one and not the second largest one, they're still in the works. We did receive smaller ones, but we haven't received more.
So how much is outstanding?
About, our portion, so 75% is about, I think it's about 12 million.
So we're waiting on 12 million from FEMA.
Yeah, I have to check the
It could
numbers.
take like
I'm just
up to
making sure
5
that's on
years.
Because last year
record.
with the brick and all that, it was 54 million for 2 projects that they owed us. I'm trying to get out of that 54 million that they owed us a year ago.
Where are we?
Where are we? Did we get any of that?
We'll get that number for you, too.
Okay, thank you.
Because we did get the design money. I mean, that one's one they did not
But
pull
it
back.
can take like 5 years. I mean, the 2019 floods and stuff, we were waiting on dollars for
Well,
years.
And
Well,
don't,
this
and
seems
don't lose
like a
sight, we
longer-
still need our 12.5% from the state. So that's historically been a struggle getting our 12.5% back from the state too. So
Okay.
we don't lose sight of that one either.
All right.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yeah, just, since this is in my district, will you guys please let me know? Because this is one area where we like to remind people to turn around, don't drown. Because anytime we get those,
Thank you for
That-
sharing that message.
yeah, anytime we get those downpours, that is the one place that will flood immensely. And
It's where the news stations run to.
Yeah,
If there's
that's
a
where the
heavy
news
rain, that's where
stations
they
go.
to.
Yeah, so.
Even if your car makes it through, you're gonna have some mechanical failures.
Right, that's why it's so important to turn around,
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Which is actually a picture of 43rd and
Yep.
Sheridan right there. There's
Yep. And with the rain that we've gotten lately, I don't know how many vehicles have driven through there and gotten damaged, but still, just as a reminder, turn around. Don't drown.
Okay, Travis.
Sorry.
Well, it also
Keep
means
your
our
eye in the
first
sky.
responders have to go out. Get 'em. Any other questions or comments on the stormwater presentation? Yep,
sorry.
Counselor Bush, no?
No,
That's
because
why
I
we're
have a
here.
meeting next week. I have, they call them lakes, but they're ponds in my neighborhood. It's my understanding the homeowners own, or they're responsible to the middle of the pond, right?
They're responsible for the whole pond.
Right, but if you got 10 around the pond, right, they
10
own,
homes.
yeah, they own their section to that
No,
section.
not necessarily. A lot of times
Okay.
detention ponds, a lot of times when they plat neighborhoods, they plat those as reserve areas.
Okay.
And the HOA owns those. And so that's where when you pay a due to your HOA, most of the detention ponds are owned by the HOA, and then the plats are written that every lot owner is a one, and let's say there's 80 homes in the neighborhood, they're a 1/80th owner and have to contribute to it. So
Okay, but-
that's how most of those are set up.
We don't have official HOAs in
Then
Midtown,
you,
right?
if
So
it's in
it's
your
the
neighborhood,
pond,
then it
yeah.
may be that each of you own to a point of, you just have to look and see how
Right.
everybody's plats are, but that would be individual ownership of it then.
Okay, so I saw there on here, we had,
Those ponds are just ones that we own ourselves. There are
Okay.
hundreds of others, neighborhood ponds that we have.
right,
75% of all creeks are in private ownership. We've dealt with Counselor Bangle a lot on this
Yeah.
over in his district. There's a lot of most of it's in private ownership. And so that's why the plats are all written, that if somebody goes and doesn't maintain their channel, and it creates a blockage where it can back up water onto their neighbors, we have the right to go in and get rid of that blockage and then bill whoever's property that is that caused the blockage. But the day-to-day maintenance is on the individual owner, whoever owns that piece of the creek. So, again, we own a very small percentage of the stormwater facilities and creeks that actually exist in our city limits. So when you see those numbers, see how big those are?
Yeah.
Then multiply that times, points, that's only 1/4 of all that exists out there. Because all the neighborhoods, a lot of these neighborhoods that are getting built in East Tulsa, some of them have 3 to 6 detention ponds in their neighborhood.
Right.
And those are all, and that's some things we've talked about too, is, we are concerned, and we've been trying to go out and educate these HOAs that you need to try to stay on top of those now, because the longer you let them go, the HOAs are gonna be very problematic of trying to keep those in good operating, and we have the responsibility to enforce making them, keep them in good working order, to the point that we can go do it and then back bill the HOA and the individual homeowners if they don't do it.
Right.
But as far as like cleaning out the ponds and all that, that's on those either private owners, we'll say, like in your instance, or by the HOA, who is all those neighborhoods that are vested into that HOA.
Right. So you're getting ready to do, it's on the Perryman Ditch, so you guys are getting ready to do some improvements. It's in my area. Brooke is sending somebody out next week to explain that, so I just want them to be prepared, because they're going to try to time the draining of the pond to correspond with that
Project.
improvement that the city is doing, so,
We'll make sure her team's prepared.
yeah,
Okay.
because they'll
Thank you
get
for bringing
asked.
that up. Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's like 34th and Delaware-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't
Counselor
drain it to
Gilbert?
43rd and Sheridan, please.
it can't. It's going downhill to the Arkansas River, by the way.
Oh, just kidding.
Counselor Gilbert and then Counselor Bingle.
So just a quick question, so, stormwater, the second, or the first slide, actually, the, stormwater fund relies wholly on utility charges for service. So if a neighborhood has a pool that is no longer being used by the neighborhood, they're not filling it, it's closed because the neighborhood cannot afford to run it, do they still, even though nobody is there, nobody is using it,
It's still impervious area though.
say that again?
It's still impervious area, so they still have to pay a stormwater fee for it.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm asked that question,
Yeah. No, but it's, the only thing that they could get out of the stormwater fee is if they would go and convert it all to grass, and then they could petition for that. I mean, then it'd just be
So
a.
you need to get
I mean,
permits.
because if it's rated commercial, they go and look and see how much of, what percentage of that is impervious, you get charged by that. So if they go and basically get rid of all that concrete and turn it into grass, then if they're getting charged a commercial rate, then it would basically get reduced very significantly, because they're no longer have all that impervious area.
so they can go to the mulch site, get mulch and fill it up. I'm just trying to.
Counselor Bingle, then Counselor Ratten.
Just becomes
Thank
the
you for
Ellie
that
Mae-
clarification, though.
Just becomes the Ellie Mae Clampett Fund.
It's still a cement pond.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I have a question about the maps that we were talking about previously, because I still got questions about what's public versus private, so like whenever, the question that, Counselor Bush was asking about earlier, I had an HOA, that didn't do sludge management within their, detention ponds, and thought we could use public funding, to mitigate, the issues that they were, experiencing with the banks expanding, because they hadn't maintained those. And so the issue that I always run into is people who don't understand what is public versus which is a developmental responsibility. Because I think like in the, one behind my house specifically, I'll just use that as an example. There's East Track Park, which is back there, so one side of that is city-owned on the one bank, and then right directly across that adjoins or butts up to the housing development, that's all private. And I think that's where most people get confused, is what is public versus what is private. And then the other question about the stormwater, every time I bring this up, every time when we start creating housing developments, are we creating significant impact, the upstream versus downstream impacts, how much impact we're putting on these watersheds. I now know that we just need to redirect everything to 43rd and Sheridan. That'll solve it all. But I'm
Atlantis.
curious,
Said no
Atlantis
one ever.
neighborhood.
how much more of an impact are we putting on our watersheds with the development? Are we developing too fast for our watershed?
Development Services looks like that, and they make sure that whatever new water is getting generated, that's why all these developments have ponds in them, is to handle that excess flow that's created from the development and then do a timed release of it so that it's not impacting downstream. So that is all part of Michael Skates, and at some point you may want to have him come make a presentation to you all about how they look at that as far as the development process. Just with all the development that's encouraged and coming, it probably would be good at some point to have him and his group come in and make a presentation to you all, because I know that gets brought up in public meetings too.
Yep.
But it might be a good 101 in front of y'all, just to see what, he can explain what they do and how they prevent that from happening.
Which is different than infill. 'Cause I
Right,
have
and
serious
infill's its own
infill problem.
issue, and
Yes.
that is a very real issue that
Yes.
we haven't solved yet, because that is happening. You're taking a 1,000 square foot house, putting a 4,000 and 5,000 square foot house, you're taking
Yep.
25% impervious and making it 90% impervious. So that does have a true impact in a neighborhood that was probably undersized to begin with, and when you start.
Yep.
So we've been working on that and trying to figure out, and we're trying to figure out how that, and we've been working with Development Services, Water and Sewer, Public Works, trying to figure out. And that's not just an issue here, where you've got
Yeah.
cities where infill is happening, the same issues are happening there. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out what that looks like long-term, and trying to, quite honestly, at some point, it's probably gonna be like an impact fee, where then we can come in later and come in and upsize the storm to address the impact of what that new reality has done to that neighborhood.
So we have,
Because it's a big issue in Brookside.
It's a big issue, yeah, not
It's huge.
21st to 51st, basically 21st to I-44 from Riverside to Harvard.
Yep.
You can walk anywhere in there, and I'd even say West Tulsa now, because now you're getting those 2 and 5 acre lots that were done. Now people are doing lot splits and doubling and tripling and quadrupling number of houses that originally started on those lots, and it's not limited to one area of town anymore. We can go to East Tulsa and show you where people have totally concreted their entire lot. And
I know.
so it's.
A lot of drainage
And then scream at
issues.
me about.
Yeah, and then scream about stormwater fees, so.
Right.
so we have
Exactly.
9 minutes left for
Yep.
Eric's presentation. Has everyone gotten what they've needed to say in a group, or you can follow up by email and stuff? Yes?
I just wanted to make a public statement that people will be paying stormwater fees even if you have the utilities turned off on your property. I think there's a big misunderstanding that people do not realize that they are still going to receive those stormwater fees. And I don't think that the public is fully aware of that, and that goes for commercial properties as well. So I think we need to do better about messaging that.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready for Mr. Lee's presentation?
Oh, yes.
Eric Lee, Water and Sewer, I have 100 slides in 9 minutes. We're ready.
Get ready.
Get ready for auctioneer mode.
10 a minute.
The 2 bullets I want you to focus on here is that the water fund, it's the 4th bullet down. It was planned to be a 4% increase in revenue, it's gonna be 6. And in exchange, the sewer fund, the plan was to be 5, and it's gonna go down to 3. So those 2 balance each other out. So we wanted to stay with our plan, even though those percentages changed for the 2 funds. As you know, we study our system about every 10 years. We had the Utility Enterprise Initiative. The city didn't really grow. It was, at 390, 395, didn't really grow, so everything was focused on rehab and replacement. We made data decisions, we're starting to show you maps that we use to show the highest risk assets. we've increased rates to pay more with cash. We had, in fact, in 2010 and 2011, we had no cash going to capital on the sewer side. We increased rates so that we had more cash, and we improved our bond rating, which meant lower interest rates that we were paying. So actually, that helped out our citizens as well, going after the high-risk lines that need to be replaced. As we look forward, we've got a 2026 comp study that's going to be released here hopefully within a month. I know I keep telling Councilor Hall Harper, it's almost here, and I think it's almost here.
Oh, year and a half.
Yeah. And the big thing on here is it's not just rehab or replacement, it's also economic development and growth. And I think this is really where our comp study is like, okay, we did the rehab and replacement, that doesn't end, even with growth. We're still having to do that, and I think these two are gonna start layering on each other. And I think that's something we really need to talk about with council. Once this report is final, we wanna come in front of you and start discussing what does this look like? How do we balance both growth and rehab and replacement? And here's the big news that we're gonna share with you is that we need to bolster the water system. That's why we changed the rate increases and we're putting more on water and less on sewer. And Councilor Lakin can tell you this, we're experiencing pressure issues in South Tulsa. We have been for a few years. If you look back at the 2001 comp study, it said in 2006, we're gonna expand AV Joule by 30 million gallons a day, and then again in 2020 by 15 million gallons a day. And guess what? We didn't do either one of those projects because the demand wasn't there. So we didn't wanna build it and have all this excess capacity before even the demand hit us. And so no reason to raise rates before we had to. That being said, if you look at the big construction projects we had in 89 to 93, we built a huge loop line down to South Tulsa. We wanted to serve Kimberly-Clark, Bixby Jinx, built the Turkey Mountain water storage tank. The only other big project after 93 was in 2021. We built a 48-inch line at Cherokee Industrial Park in Owasso. Other than that, not a huge amount of expansion just because of population growth. You're also seeing people use less water through water-efficient appliances. But that expansion is needed now. And it's not just South Tulsa. It's also East Tulsa's growing. The Northwest Service area, there's opportunities for growth there as well. So we're going to see some big capital projects come out on the water side. On the sewer side, we're waiting on the final report. The draft report was presented to TMUA. I think the sewer is going to be in a couple of weeks. On the sewer side, we've had a couple of issues. One was at the Apache lift station, which there was a solar panel manufacturing company that was going to come in at the airport. We were going to take all the capacity on the sewer lines in that area just from that one business. With it not coming in, that's relieved that. We still have capacity in Apache. But one project can all of a sudden change our sewer collection system, our sewer infrastructure. So any growth has to be strategic. If all of a sudden people say, well, I'm going to develop in here, develop there, wherever it happens to be, we may not have the capacity, or all of a sudden the capacity is all taken up with one project. So we have to be thoughtful about that since we can't do everything with the current money we have. But what you're going to see over the next 5 years is we're going to move back down to kind of an inflationary rate of about 3%. Last 15 years has averaged about 7%. Here's the big numbers. So over the next 5 years on the water side, $400 million in capital. So divide 400 by 5, you're talking $80 million a year on average. And you can see that fifth year, fiscal year 31, we jump up to $127 million, and that's because that's when the big construction dollars are really needed to be spent. We're looking at, instead of 15-year loans, we went down to 15-year loans for quite some time because it was, let's pay these things off, get them off the books. We're talking about possible 25, 30-year notes on some of these because of the money that we have and the borrowing that we need to put into place. So big projects, big lines coming out of AV Joule, expanding AV Joule's treatment capacity. On the sewer side, you'll see that we've stayed pretty stable within the 60 to 70 range. We do have a high year in fiscal year 29, but that averages over the 5 years, 360, so what is that, 72 versus the higher rate for water. So if you look, this is the comparison between the plan that we have and what was previous. So on the water side, sorry, I switched up the colors here, water's in yellow instead of blue. But if you look at water, we had planned over the 5 years to spend $213 million. That's jumping up to $399. So $186 million more in capital projects over the next 5 years. But on sewer, we're able to kind of balance it out. It's almost the same as what we had planned over the 5 years. We change the amount sometimes from year to year based on what the risks are. Significant water projects, we're gonna continue with our True Reads project. We're changing out all the meter boxes, the meters, checking to see what the service line material is made of. Electrical chemical costs continue to go up. I don't know if anyone's seen the recent releases from PSO. We're concerned about some of those increases on the electrical side because a big portion of our budget, I think 4% on the water side, is electrical rates. So we did not account for that, but we will look at that and see how that impacts us. Pavement replacement is also a huge cost for us. It's nice when water lines are behind the curb in the green area and we're not digging up the street. When we dig up the street, it gets really expensive. Cybersecurity's another item that's come up. I was in DC a couple weeks ago. We talked about trying to get our Congress people to push forward cybersecurity legislation, so hopefully they're doing that. We want to make sure that system's really separate from like the IT systems that we have, computers. We keep the plant system separate, but we still want to make sure that we're safeguarded, especially with the political climate. And here you can see the 15-year average for rate increases previous to this year was 3.8%, and the next 5 years we're looking at a 5.6. We still think that 5.6 is pretty good considering everything that's going on with our costs. Waterline failures were pretty steady over the years. If you see all those high points, that's typically in a winter month when the water temperature gets to 38 degrees. It's at its densest, and pipes constrict, and the two don't like each other, and so then they break. Significant sewer issues. Everyone knows about PFAS, forever chemicals. We talked about humanure. The truth is,
Is that one word or 2 words? Because
I've seen it as one word in all the legislative
Me too.
materials.
Yeah, okay.
There's lots of concern about that. I'll tell you that we're monitoring our wastewater plants, and so you could take like our Hickey Creek plant, a lot of residential customers, we're hardly seeing any PFAS at all on that. At our Northside wastewater plant, depending on which lift station the waste comes through, you're seeing PFAS show up, and it's from different industrial customers. And so I think if we can really address that on the industrial side through our pretreatment programs, I would like to think that we could continue to land apply biosolids and use those, because there's a real shortage right now in fertilizer across the nation. I don't know if you've been to Lowe's or Home Depot lately and seen the prices, but the federal government's really concerned about this, and we want to make sure that we can continue to use biosolids as that application. Speaking of composting, so we've got a project that's got a fertilizer grant through USDA. We want to see that go through where we mix the brown and the green together, and we make compost, and it's a soil amendment, so it's really nice to have, and so we're going to be doing that, moving forward with that project.
That'll be important given global fertilizer limitations if we have local resources.
Say again?
Oh, I'm naming, like, because of, there's like global fertilizer shortages driven by the war, and so this will help us be able to generate things locally.
We're doing the best we can to contribute in that way.
Okay.
Yeah. I do want to state, the two significant issues that I think, if I could just get your attention on this, we have what we call party sewer lines or private problems on private services. Multiple people are on one service line that connects to our main, and for whatever reason that was allowed in the 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. We're seeing more private problems and overflow, and a homeowner says, oh, the city has an overflow, and we're like, it's not us, it's your neighbor, and you're both connected to the same line. So I just want to thank all of you for working with us on those, because those are hard to solve. Team UA has kind of given us the direction, go solve it, and then we'll figure out the financials later, who's responsible. And so we're going to work towards that. Obviously, we want to keep you informed when those things happen. And then the other thing is, our technology's gotten really, really good. We love AI, the thought of AI, doing more kind of identification of defects in our sewer collection system. We've got ultrasonic technology. We get to figure out where all these problems are, but the list of problems keeps growing and growing and growing. And the resources to make all those repairs, we're just not there. And so one of the things that TMUA is looking at is how do we continue to have enough staff, enough resources to make all those repairs. So we'll probably be coming to you in future months and talking about making sure we have the resources to maintain the sewer collection system. If you look at rainfall, which is the line, when we have high rainfall, if you see the gray portion of the bar, that's a wet weather overflow. If you look at 20, whatever year that is, 15, a lot of wet weather overflows, but a lot of rain. But if you see 2019, if you see 2025, lots of rain and not as many, it's because we've really focused on the areas like Coal Creek, Flat Rock Creek, where we have a lot of these overflows, and making those repairs to the defects. So we're really proud of that program.
Grease is high.
Excuse me?
Grease.
Yes, grease can be very high. We've got a good fog program, but if you see the grease numbers, if you look at just the tan area, you'll see that it has diminished over the last 5 to 6 years. And it's really because of the concentrated effort we're making on, trying to get that message out there. We're also cleaning a lot of lines. You have grease collection. We push the Thanksgiving timeframe, so. Here's one takeaway I want you to have on this slide. We, in 2018, the cost, and we figure out, we estimate what we think a contractor is gonna bid for a water line replacement project. And what we do is we take the size of that water line in inches, the diameter of it, we take in inches, we multiply it by a factor, and then the length of the pipe. We're like, okay, if it's a 6-inch line, it's 6 inch times 20 times the length, and you can kind of get a rough estimate. That $20, if you look at that now, is almost $50 on average. The cost to replace water lines has increased so dramatically, it's way more than inflation. So I wanted to bring this to your attention is that, everyone's good about saying, well, inflation is 2.5, or it's 3, or it's 5. Well, that may overall be the right number, but it may not be the right number in the industry and what's happening. So we can't do as much with the same amount of money that we used to. And I think the handouts have kind of the comparison or what the utility bill looks like. You've seen this before on kind of the increase. We talked about median average, high use customers. So there's a table, you can look at that. If you have any questions, you can ask me later. But we're looking at just for water and sewer, about $390 more for the utility bill per month. We like to compare against other utilities. We do comparisons against other cities. Yes, sir?
Sorry, it was just really fast.
Well, we're 5 minutes over our time, but okay.
And it's in that handout too.
It's in the handout, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
If
go.
anyone has any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to come back. And then, obviously our main goal is protect public health. We want to be responsible. We know affordability is a big issue, but if you really look at that fifth one, large water supply projects are going to be driving water rate increases. I can't say that enough, is that we're going to have to get a lot of people on board with, these are going to be significant capital projects, large 60-inch water lines going through arterial streets. So it's going to happen. And then, if you want to talk about this at some point in the future, we can. We projected what we thought rates were going to be, and so it's the dark line and what rates were. But the dashed line shows how we changed. And so if you look at the dark blue and then the dashed light blue, you can see that in 2020, 21, 22, there were no rate increases. And so we were able to stay below what we thought the projections were going to be. Now that dashed blue line is coming up above because we have these huge capital projects that finally need to happen. And then with sewer, yellow, and then the dash brown, you can see we've kind of gotten below there, and we're staying below where we thought the projections were going to be. So we feel better about sewer, but we need more rate increases for water. Any questions?
I truly, for the life of me, can never remember what water adjusted and water is and sewer adjusted and what are the dash lines again?
So the solid is where we were. So let me just draw your attention to the solid blue line. In 1997, no rate increases.
I got all that,
To
yeah.
2006.
But what's the dashes?
Yeah.
And so that blue line is also what we
What?
projected.
What blue
was-
line?
The solid.
The solid blue line
Okay.
is what we projected going out in the future in 2012.
Right.
And then the dash line is what actually happened, and I should probably reverse those so that you can, and we can reverse those, but the dash blue line is what happened. So in 2015, 2016, we started decreasing, Counselor Lakin, on the water rates because we were identifying the riskiest lines, replacing those first, and using asset management to really drive our decision-making. We didn't want to invest any more than we had to, and so we didn't need to increase rates, but now we're going to need to. So that's, the blue is kind of, the dash blue line is where we ended up going after the 2012, because 2012, we projected rates out to 20 years.
So,
Okay.
but prior to 2015, there would be a dash if you like stretched it back. It was just, you just chose to pick 2015 as the year to sort of identify that divergence.
So 2012, we projected the solid blue line going out in the future.
Yeah, it should be dash going backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what really happened.
Yeah, like that's.
We'll clean it up so it's easier
Okay.
next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, because the dash feels like it should be a hypothetical, where the solid should be the
Right.
actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, every year, I think I ask.
We will fix that.
Okay, thank you.
And you've been here the longest, so if you have
I've
that
asked,
question,
right.
others probably do too. We are 10 minutes over and we have a pretty full 4 o'clock, so I'm sure Mr. Lee or
Happy
Mr.
to
Ball
come
will
back.
take an email or a phone call from
Yep.
anyone at this table.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We're
Thank you.
adjourned. How long till we?
When we first